Hi, it's Chris again with Forextropy, where the Forex market intersects with philanthropy. This is episode 2. I thank you for coming back and learning more how we're going to increase our income or to create income during this very austere time in history. It's intimidating, but there are ways through it, and that's what this is all about. I want to technologically challenged. I want to thank those who have found Forextropy at Forextropy on Facebook. That is where we will be posting video links like the one you're watching now, and as well as in between videos, if there's something important that needs to be announced or alerted you to, you will find it there. So I please ask you to like the page and follow along. And also, as they say in the YouTube verse, please like our channel and subscribe to it. Their subscription is an intimidating word in a way. It sounds like you're paying for something. That's not how it works. You subscribe and you basically are alerted every time there's a new video. So if you are indeed following along here, episode by episode, it's helpful to me to track that and to show growth. It's also helpful that you will be alerted. So it's win-win. And again, there's no fee for subscription. It's just something to do, and really do appreciate you doing it. And moving forward. So the homework assignment from the last video was to begin investigating the various Forex brokers that are out there. If you recall now, this slide is busier than it was, and that's because there are more that I found. The broker I use is on here, and I'm very happy with them. I've actually used 2 on here. A lot of these I've never heard of before. And since this is an international market, you're trading international currency, it's foreign currency. So some of these brokers are not even based in the United States. They're in London or where have you. And so they're all fine. They all have different ways of doing their business, and I don't know all of it. So I would just say you just shop around. One of my viewers did reach out and say, hey, I found a couple that would let me join for $100. And I said, yay. When I say join, I mean open a brokerage account for as little as 100. Now, mind you, when you're trading $100, the profit margin on that's going to be notably low. But if that's what we have to work with, then, you know, earning a couple dollars a day is, you know, emotionally gratifying. You build your account until you get to a point where you can trade with more. We're all at different stages of that, and so don't be intimidated or ashamed. It's just the way it is. I think $1,000 is a good number to work with if it's possible. And certainly the chart that I have set up here, the 30-day challenge, sounds like a diet plan. This chart shows how you can go from $1,000 all the way up to 6,000, if you will. I mean, we're going to see. This is an exciting exercise. I'm already in 5 days, as you can see. Today is Friday, April 3rd. And the goal, of course, every day is just $100. It'll get this account to 1,600 and change. Markets are closed on Saturday, so let me talk about market hours. The Forex market is 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. You can't say that about the New York Stock Exchange. There are 3 major exchanges in the world: New York, London, and Tokyo. The market week opens on Sunday afternoon in the United States. I'm in California, so that's my base of reference. So around 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon is morning in Tokyo, and they are opening. The Nikkei is opening. Then the sun revolves around the earth. No, rather, we revolve around the sun, and in that process, you go from market to market. So by Friday at 2 p.m. in California, which is 5 o'clock in New York, market is closed. You get 1 day off, Saturday, day of rest, which I find very frustrating sometimes, because when I'm making money every day, why can't I do it on Saturday? but sometimes we need to do laundry and things that are personal, and there should be at least one day to do that. But then by Sunday afternoon, we're ready to go again. So it's really kind of a 6-day week. You can place a trade on a Sunday evening or afternoon, profit by Monday morning. So I count that kind of as a day, Sunday to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then into Friday, and right around a little bit after lunch, again in California on Friday, you can close the computer and just enjoy a day or so of rest. So at any rate, this is the chart we're working on. And just to remind anyone who's new, we started with $1,000. Let's say it was last Saturday. On Sunday, under the red X, added 100, brought it up to 1,100, and you can just read through this. So I'm looking forward to the end of the month. That's pretty handsome figure there, $300 a day. One can do that every single day for the rest of the year. You've earned a significant salary. It's between you and your accountant how you do your taxes, because this is taxable income. I don't know how it works if it's your primary income. I do know that when one has got a full-time job and this is on the side, this is more of secondary or subject to capital gains and so forth. I'm not an accountant, so don't ask me these questions. So the tax picture is entirely up to the individual. I would like to think that if one is unemployed and has no other income, then here it is. So we'll go from there. Now you'll let me toggle screens here for a moment, because this is in live television. All right, that worked. So here we were on April 2nd, which was yesterday. And while I was recording the last session, all this was taking place. I will zoom in a second, but you can see all these crazy lines. It is the mind of a madman, it looks like. But to show from, pretty much early morning. Now the time frame down here is Greenwich Mean Time or London time. So you got to back out or add how many hours it is in the market you're in. Well, I have to back out 8 hours. So 18 minus 8 is 10. That would have been maybe 8 p.m. Don't ask me to figure that out. So we have started the day and progressed through. You can see that within a major range here, there were little micro ranges, little channels we call them, uptrending, and then here's one that was downtrending. And you were paying attention in the first video, the secret sauce or the magic bullet, or I'll come up with a great expression one day. The thing that I look for, the perfect wave, okay, go back to California here. The perfect wave is to anticipate when the trend is going to reverse. And there's a couple of clues that I will continue to drive home every day, because that's simply how it works in this particular trade strategy. It works and there's money to be made, and who cares if there's other strategies? Sorry to my trainer friends who make a living training people on all these strategies. I have learned from you, and now I know what works for me. All right, so I'm going to click down into the 1-minute chart so we can get a little granular. And I have to roll back here. And we're almost there. This is a live screen, so I did not do screenshots this time, which would have been cleaner. Okay, so started the day with this downtrending channel. And so a couple of things that I look for in each and every channel. And I won't add more numbers to this chart because it's already crazy with numbers. But you want to look for 3 points of confirmation to confirm that this, in fact, is a trend line. Now, I drew this line, as I said before, the chart, the blue or the green and red candles are the only thing that comes with the chart. So all these little lines and numbers I have drawn, and there's a whole toolbar system over here that helps you do that. And I'll tell you in a minute which chart I use. This is another free service you can find online. You can find several of these charts. It's called daily or live FX charts. There's a number of them, and you just open them up. They don't charge you for it. It's just simply, it's there for you to use. So I use it. So I see 0.1, I see 0.2, I see 0.3, and almost always, I would hate to say 100%, but pretty close to 100%, 90, high 90s. On the fourth approach, it's going to break out. So you have 1, you have 2, you have 3, kind of almost broke out, but didn't really. And on the fourth, it goes. That's clue number 1. Clue number 2 is that before the breakout and the fourth approach, the downtrend stalled. So in this case, it kept going down. This is a nice line here, just hitting it perfectly. And then on the next approach, it stopped short. It didn't come all the way down or continue onward. If it had continued onward, this would not have broken out and we'd still be in that trade or in that range. But if it flattened out, and we would call that a double bottom in Forex speak, it would have hit once, hit twice, bounced, and then continued onward. So I would have looked for just a really nice flat level bounce at this level of support. Or I would look for an attempt to return, but nah, we're not going there anymore. And then it turned around. Okay, so those are two things. This is pretty much, I've just given away the secret recipe to Coca-Cola and KFC. This is in large part, in terms of technical trading, chart trading, this is what you're looking for. So let's move on. Okay, so this was about 10 pips. It actually went on to maybe like 20 pips. Pips are unit of measurement. But I felt comfortable, more conservative, to set the profit target right here where the previous high was, a level of resistance right here. But yeah, I could have gone on further, but you know, when you're grabbing pips right and left, you know, you don't need to be greedy. In fact, you shouldn't be greedy. So that was 10 pips. And in a standard lot, that's $100. Okay, well, the day is young. So let's move on a couple hours. And now it's going to go quickly here. This is a real nice uptrending channel. I was more awake and had coffee by the time I saw this. And I'm like, okay, this is perfect. In fact, I think when I found this pattern, it had already triple topped right here. Bam, bam, bam. This trend is saying, we're done, we're exhausted, it's time to turn around. It did cheat and try to do it on the fourth attempt here, but you see it failed. Now on the bottom, maybe there's more than 3 points here. I think if you zoom in, you will find 3 exact points of confirmation. But I mean, this was perfect. It was just riding along this trend line. It was easy to draw. And there's a nice one here, and then here, and then oops, just when you think it's going to break out, it way pulled back. So if you had a tight stop loss, and we haven't talked about that yet, if it was like really tight down in here, it could have taken you out in the market. So that's kind of why I don't trade with stops a lot, and shame on me, but I'll explain that at some point here. So it broke out to the south, and it ranged a bit. As you can see, it kind of went sideways. It didn't kind of go sideways. I'm sorry, my mouse is just so sensitive. This looks kind of good. So it ranged, and yet another channel and yet another breakout. But the long haul breakout was this one here. And profit target I would have set is reasonable to this level here. You can see previous level of support. Bam, 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 it hits this line. Hope you're watching the crosshair as I'm moving it, because that's what I'm talking about. So when it got down over here, you can see along the dotted line, that's where you wanted it to go based on the previous support. So that was about 12 pips. That's $120. Hope you're keeping score. The day's not over yet. We're now up by what? $220 if we're trading a standard lot. I'm happy. All right, the afternoon was, there's times when the market's just in a lull, And if you look, one could draw a line here and say, oh, there was a thin channel. I mean, this was a channel and there was a breakout, but it's really thin. And you don't have to trade everything you see. In fact, again, I'll say this till I'm blue. It's best not to trade everything you see, because sometimes it isn't what you see, and then you regret that. All right, going into afternoon. This is pretty, really nice. I like this, particularly when it just double topped perfectly. Bam, 2 major points, maybe 3, but it formed that V, that perfect V here. So we have 1, 2, and I'd say 3 and 4 were like right next to each other. And sometimes that happens. So if you're like looking for the perfect 3-point touch, and then you think it's going to ramble on a bit and then it will reapproach for 4. Sometimes, many times, in this case, it just, in the next candle, it just broke through, which is legitimate. It had its 3rd touch, and the 4th is like, we're ready to go. So it broke out. Of course, as it broke out, it ranged again, but it formed another nice little channel. And then you see the little V here. It stalled, and then it broke out. I can't count it here, but 1, 2, 3, breakout. But we're already in this trade, so we're writing it down to about here. Why did I not set my profit down to the bottom of this, where the green line is now? I could have. This was a previous level of support right here, looking at here. I knew it would hit it. I wouldn't necessarily know that it would even go further. It did. No, actually it didn't. So yeah, so again, conservative targets is never a bad thing. Plus, remember I told you, if you measure and this is a little bit long, but if you measure the depth of the channel vertically, so this line here is the depth from this high point here to this low point here, it's just a little bit more. And then you take that and you drag it over somehow, drag it over to the breakout itself. Then, oh yeah, see, arrow comes right down to this previous level support. Why would I risk going further? I could, as you saw in an earlier example, it did go to the very bottom of the the trend channel here, but it could have stopped here. So where I am right here probably would have been the safest target, and it did hit it, of course, way over here. So you see, that's kind of the gamble there. I mean, this is shorter than the depth of the channel for sure, but it would have been a much more secure feeling in securing profit. Here is a little more ambitious, and it did do it. So I just wanted to show you these 2 things where you just want to be careful when you're setting your profit goal, because see, where the green line, it still hasn't, it eventually hits it, but there have been a lot of movement in between and you would have been biting your nails. Okay, we're getting close to the end of yesterday, and it's important that you've got to, this is what this is all about. You've got to watch every day and see these things happen. And whether you jump in on every one or some of them, if you make your financial goal, it doesn't matter if you hit them all. All right, we're on this one now. This is getting monotonous. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got at least 2, 3 points here. It broke out. Now here's a case where it did not go all the way to this level here. Okay, it didn't have to. It did go to this level here, which is very short distance. It's nowhere near the depth of this channel. So this would have been a bit of a disappointment, because it was only 7 pips, but that's $70 if you're trading standard lot. So that's not the only trade of the day. That's it was a little sputter, but oh well, it happened. Here's another one here I didn't even mention, but it's just everywhere. Everywhere you look, you see these patterns. And then as the day was coming to an end, it's not a perfect parallelogram. It's more of an uptrending wedge. It's wider at this end and narrower at this end. That's going to happen. Again, nothing's perfect, and and these lines are human drawn. So the market will do whatever the market wants to do. It has doesn't really care how you're drawing your lines. but you've got your 1, you got your 2 basically, or you have your 2 and 3 here. And another clue about breakout is often there's a lot of, what do we call it? Consolidation. A lot of, it's like the spring is coiling up tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, and then bam. So that's a clue. You know, you have this lonely little point out here. That's not quite a breakout, nor was the first. But toward the end, it's just like, oh, it's so ready. It's just ready to just punch out. And it did, and it went 10 pips. Okay, let's zoom back out and remind us that in one day of playing this little game, on April 2nd, managed to scalp up 52 pips. It was $520. If you go back to my chart like I had, my goal was 100. So here's 5 days based on that 30-day chart I'm working on. So this is selling itself, and there's nothing here to sell per se. But if this isn't more clear, I can't make it. All right, real time. This is what I'm excited about. Oh, good. I'm seeing my life play out perfectly. Very happy. This is why I didn't want to do screenshots anymore, because I want to show you live market action. Okay, so we're in market right now, and yay, this is just picture perfect. All right, so the big bold arrow, if I can get all my little things lined up here. The big bold arrow is my 2 things. That's the moment in time, which is now, it's 14:45. I guess that was about 6:45 in the morning. 7:45. It was around 6 or 7 in the morning. I'm still in bed with the dog and my laptop, just to share intimate moments here. I'm not in the suit you see on the screen. I'm in bed looking at this market going, at least from the beginning to the big bold arrow, I saw this downtrending channel, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got 0.1 and we got 0.2. Didn't have 0.3 yet. So it could have been a bit of a risk to assume this was a downtrending channel, but it looks so good. can't emphasize that enough. We had a micro channel in here. I didn't trade this, but that would have been 10 pips, because you can see how it was going up, and it stalled, perfect double top, V formation, boom, down to here. This is not quite, this is more like a downtrending triangle or wedge. I don't see this chart every day, or this pattern. And one could maybe fiddle around with the lines and make it a parallelogram. But at any rate, it also worked as a triangular shape. When that broke out, that was about 15 pips. I didn't trade that one either. I was pretty sure I knew where this was heading in the long term. So then I thought, okay, I did something risky. The yellow line, for me, yellow is where I enter, green is profit, and then red, oh, I hate this. Red is the stop loss, where I would set the point of no return. What that means is once it's hit it or crossed it, this is going to, the market's going in a different direction, my trade is underwater, get out, get out, get out. So that's why we have the red line, and on our trading platform, it's called a stop or stop loss. It stops the loss, okay? So a conservative entry would have been right where the market is about now, where my crosshair is, above the trend line. Points 1, 2, and 3 have already been affirmed. So the 4th is where we're at presently, and could have entered there safely and then gone on to profit. How did I choose profit? There's some static going on here, a previous level of resistance at the top. I could have drawn it short to be at the bottom. That's a conservative profit target. That will most certainly hit. I'm almost positive it'll hit this too, or you could split the difference. I have found that when you're trading upward, which is not a technical term, but when the market is moving in this direction in an upward formation on your screen, Um, Sometimes it falls a little short. I don't know why. It's kind of like gravity, even though gravity has nothing to do with this. But it's going up, and just sometimes it may not hit the top. However, when prices are going down or the chart is going down, it seems to hit the floor harder and more definitively. Again, it's weird. It is like gravity. Again, there's no science here. It's just movement. But anyway, it's a little quirk I've noticed. At any rate, I'm comfortable at this 834 number. 830 is a nice round number right here. I could just short it there. And that would be about 46 pips. But right now, based upon where I entered here, all the way up to the green line is 50 pips. That's $500 in a standard lot. And that is, by my calculation, it is 11:30 in my time zone. Possibly by lunch, it will hit. So this is great. I wake up a little bit early, play with the dog, get into a trade, kind of watch it through the morning, prepare these videos, get dressed, and then go to lunch with $500. Where am I going to go? I'm being funny, but this is the life. This is the life I think we would crave to have. Too bad there aren't any restaurants open or shops to shop in. But at any rate, that's why we're doing this for 30 days. We're going to learn it and do it. And when America is back in business and the world's back in business, we can take that, profit and contribute to the economy. So I'm kind of didaddling along here because as you're seeing, it's just continuing to move. What you should anticipate almost always, but not always, but sometimes, is a reversal or a pullback. Trying to think of the right word, where there's a breakout and then it'll come right back to touch that line just to let you know, we know it's there, but we're not going to cross it. We're not going to go through it. We're just going to tap that line and then return in the direction we were heading. So one way to trade a breakout is either you've already preset, let's say the yellow line was here. If you've preset your entry here and you missed it, oh well. But if it breaks out and then it returns back down, you always have a second opportunity to get back in. So if this happened, you weren't paying attention, like, well, shoot, don't get in. If it's moving this direction now, don't jump in now, because invariably it will pull back. And unless you like to see your numbers in the red for a period of a few hours or less, that's just aggravating. So, and also if the trend were to change courses altogether, well, then too bad. So it's like catching a falling knife, as it were. If it's falling and you want it to go down, you don't want to grab it for obvious reasons. So wait until there's a pullback. I can't show it to you now because it's not happening. It didn't really happen here either. It didn't happen here. Well, it kind of, okay, this pulled back here. It didn't quite touch this trend line that we're talking about right here. But that's just the movement of the prices. Okay, so I think I will wrap this up. This has been a little long-winded, but I'm hoping you're following along, and certainly leave questions in the comments field. If you know me personally, I'm sure you'll text me. But this is what we look for each and every day. Now, I talked about the noon phenomenon. What I like is then after lunch, I start to see a new pattern emerge, and maybe by dinner or bedtime, I'm able to do a whole nother chart just like this. So, I could do 50 in the morning, 50 in the afternoon. Wouldn't that be nice? That's greedy. I seem to be more fresh and alert and more successful when I'm doing it first thing in the morning. I get a little grabby toward the end of the day and I'm wanting to get more pips, and I've had some losses here and there when I try and do that. So again, don't be greedy, because there's always tomorrow. In this case, it's not tomorrow, it's Sunday afternoon or Monday morning. So there won't be an afternoon trade or evening trade because the market will have closed. But I'm content. And just to go back to this, which is what drives my drives me right now is um, I assume in the next hour or so I will have hit this. I can put a big red X over it and then start Sunday and look where we're going. I don't know why that keeps doing that, but there, I'll just let you read below. The last Thursday of the month, April 30th, that's where we're heading. All right, thank you so much for your patience and attention. This has been a more wordy presentation, but I'm going to just keep doing this until you succeed. That is the goal, and we can talk about bigger things after that, but let's get ourselves uh, back in business again, and then we can do some heavier lifting worldwide, as it were. All right, thank you again. I'm going to stop this recording and you'll watch me do that. But have a great weekend. Stay safe and healthy, please. And we'll see you next week. Bye now.